My wife smirked and said, "I've been sleeping with the neighbor for years." So I smiled back, handed her divorce papers citing infidelity, watched her lose everything because of our prenup, and walked away without looking back. When she realized she was about to lose everything because of our prenup, the color drained from her face completely. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. Mine was practically frozen. Truth be told, I never planned to be divorced. Honestly, I never even planned to get married. But life has a way of throwing surprises at you. Sometimes pleasant, sometimes like a knife straight to the gut. I met Catherine 12 years ago at a charity auction where I was representing my firm. She was part of the organizing committee, elegant, smart, and the kind of woman who commanded attention without saying a word. She had a grace about her that drew people in effortlessly, myself included. Within 18 months, we were married. My friends thought it was rushed. Looking back, I realized it wasn't nearly fast enough to escape what came later. My family comes from old money, not the private jet type, but the kind that never worries about bills. I'd built my own success as a lawyer, yet I can't pretend the foundation wasn't already there. Catherine, on the other hand, came from simpler roots, the daughter of a teacher and a nurse. She was proud of her background, and I admired that. But that detail became important later in ways I never expected. Before we married, my father, a man of pragmatism and experience, insisted on a prenuptial agreement. "It's not about distrust," he said. "It's about protecting generations of work. If she truly loves you, she'll understand." Catherine didn't like it at first. She thought it was cold, businesslike. But eventually she signed. The terms were simple. Whatever we earned together would be split fairly if things ever fell apart, unless one of us cheated. In that case, the guilty party would walk away with nothing but their personal belongings and a one-time payment of $50,000. Our state happened to allow lifestyle clauses, so my father's lawyer made sure that fidelity clause, as he called it, was ironclad. "As if I'd ever cheat on you," Catherine had laughed while signing. "This clause will never matter." If only she'd been right. For the first 10 years, our marriage seemed perfect. We traveled the world, built a beautiful home, and became part of the community. We tried for kids, but it never happened. Doctors called it unexplained infertility. It hurt us both, but we tried to move forward, or so I thought. Now I realize the cracks were already forming, just too subtle for me to see. The new wardrobe, the sudden obsession with fitness, the girls' nights that went suspiciously late. I ignored it all. I trusted her completely, foolishly. Then came David, the neighbor, a divorced man in his 40s who looked like he'd stepped out of a fitness magazine. He was friendly, polite, the type who jogged at sunrise and helped with yard work just to be nice. Catherine was instantly friendly. She brought him baskets, invited him for dinner, laughed at his jokes. I thought nothing of it. I even suggested he join my weekly poker nights. That's how naive I was. 3 months ago, I came home early from a business trip. My flight had been canceled, and instead of waiting around, I drove home. 4 hours of solitude and good intentions. I wanted to surprise Catherine. The surprise was entirely mine. Her car was in the driveway when she should have been working at the gallery. I walked in quietly, heard music from upstairs, and thought she might be painting or relaxing. But what I found when I opened our bedroom door left no doubt. There she was, in bed with David, my neighbor, in the middle of something that would forever burn into my memory. I didn't shout. I didn't rage. I simply closed the door, walked downstairs, and poured myself a glass of scotch. 20 minutes later, she came downstairs freshly showered, pretending nothing had happened, until she saw me sitting there. "James, you're home early," she said, trying to sound calm. "Flight got canceled," I replied, taking a sip. "Decided to drive back." Her eyes flickered. She was calculating. Did I see? Did I know? Should she confess or pretend? I cut the silence with a smile. "Seemed like you already had dinner plans. Is David joining us? Or has he eaten enough?" Her face went pale. And then she smirked. Not a nervous smile, not an apology. A real, cold, defiant smirk. "Well," she said. I suppose the cat's out of the bag. Yes, David and I have been together. For years, actually. Years. That word hit me like a sledgehammer. It just happened, she continued. We tried to fight it, but there was something missing here. I let out a short, sharp laugh. Missing? You mean stability? A home? A husband who adored you? Passion, she said firmly. Excitement. David makes me feel alive. You made me feel comfortable. She said comfortable like it was an insult. I poured another drink, still strangely calm. 4 years? I asked quietly. She nodded. Nearly half our marriage, a lie. So what was the plan, Catherine? I asked. Keep playing the loving wife until you could cash out? She looked down, then said softly, I don't know. It's complicated. No, I replied. It's actually quite simple. I walked over, picked up my briefcase, and pulled out a manila envelope. Divorce papers, I said flatly. Citing infidelity. She stared at it like it was a snake. You already had these? She whispered. I've suspected for a while. I lied. This just confirms it. When she remembered the prenup, the color vanished from her face entirely. You can't be serious, she said, her voice trembling. 10 years together, and you'll leave me with nothing? Not nothing, I replied calmly. You get $50,000. And whatever you can carry. That's barely 6 months of rent, she whispered. You should have thought of that before sleeping with David, I said coldly. Maybe he'll help you. After all, he makes you feel alive. Catherine sat there on the couch, tears welling up, still trying to regain control of the situation. You can't throw me out, she said desperately. This is my home too. I nodded slowly. Legally, you're right. I can't force you out without a court order. But here's the deal, you have 30 days. I'll cover your deposit and first month's rent somewhere else if you leave peacefully. Otherwise, we'll let the court handle it. Either way, the outcome's the same. She just stared at me, her eyes burning with fury and fear. You're enjoying this, she whispered. No, I said quietly. I'm just finally seeing things clearly. The next day, I called Helen, the divorce specialist at my firm. She was ruthless, the kind of woman who could slice through legal obstacles like a knife through paper. Within hours, the papers were filed, and the wheels of justice started turning. Catherine tried everything, calling my parents, spreading lies to friends, even telling clients I'd neglected her. But the truth always finds its way out. When the 4-year timeline became public, sympathy turned to pity. For me. She hired a lawyer to challenge the prenup, claiming she'd signed under pressure. Helen crushed the argument effortlessly. Every clause was watertight, every signature witnessed. Even her own attorney had signed a notarized statement confirming she understood it fully. When the judge saw the evidence, including texts between her and David from our shared iPad, the case was over in minutes. The prenup held firm. She walked away with exactly $50,000 and her belongings. Nothing more. Her final act of desperation came when she showed up drunk at one of my firm's events, screaming lies about me to anyone who'd listen. My managing partner, a tough woman who'd been through 3 divorces herself, escorted Catherine out personally and told me to take a week off. You handled it with dignity, she said. That was the end of Catherine's reign of chaos. I sold the house and donated my share to infertility research. It felt symbolic, turning pain into something that might help someone else. I moved into a smaller place downtown, close to work, close to peace. I heard Catherine moved in with David, but it didn't last. Within 2 months, she found out he was sleeping with a yoga instructor. Karma doesn't miss a beat. A year later, I'm happier than I've been in years. I'm seeing someone new, Claire, a pediatric surgeon who's been through her own kind of hell. We're careful, honest, and real. I don't know if I'll ever marry again, but if I do, there'll be a prenup strong enough to withstand an earthquake. People ask if I regret being so cold. No, I don't. Betrayal should never be rewarded. Then, out of nowhere, Catherine sent me an email. An apology, sincere, simple, no excuses. She said she'd started therapy, faced her mistakes, and wanted nothing from me except forgiveness. I thought about it for days. Finally, I replied with a short message. Thank you for apologizing. I wish you well. That was closure. Not because she gave it, but because I took it. People often say living well is the best revenge. They're right, but having an ironclad prenup comes a very close second. Today, I'm living proof that even when love dies, dignity doesn't have to. I lost a wife but found myself. And that, my friends, is a trade I'd make again every single time. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories of betrayal, justice, and emotional revenge.